Hello, my friends. I had a little time extra on my hand. I'm going away for a bit of a retreat, but I'll stay in touch anyway. And I know this is my second Facebook Live today. I just felt the impulse to do it when I woke up this morning. So I know I just did another Facebook post like 10 minutes ago. So this might be a little overwhelming, but I thought I'd share with you some questions that people come up with and what I think might be the answers to these questions. As usual, if you find what I'm saying redundant, then just turn me off, press the button and erase me. But if you like this conversation, if you want to expand in it, if you join in this conversation, then we can all expand our awareness and learn from each other. Okay, so every spiritual tradition throughout the world has said that we are immortal beings. And yet, of course, every person at some point in their life is concerned about old age, infirmity, and death. So we can say, even despite the reassurance from great teachers, great luminaries, great spiritual people, there is always, at some point, concern about physical death. So I think we should address this, because I also get questions from people who say, if I have lived before, if I have other lifetimes, then why don't I remember them? Although I meet people who do remember other lifetimes, and then of course the question is, are they just imagining it? So it's a good question. If I have lived other lifetimes, then why don't I remember them? Secondly, why do I still, with all the spiritual knowledge and understanding I'm beginning to have, why do I still have some concern about death? And these are very legitimate questions. People hang on to life even when they are on life support, and they can't usually sometimes even speak or move a muscle. If you ask them, do you want to stay on life support and live, or should we turn it off? Most of them will choose to live on life support. And so death is a definite concern to a lot of people. The concept, the construct of physical death is of concern to a lot of people. So now, let me tell you the secret to immortality, even before I expand on it. Are you ready? Do you know the secret of immortality? Actually, there's only one secret of immortality. Please tell me if you know what it is. Tell me, what is the secret to immortality? Here's the secret. The realization that you're not a person. That's it. If you think you are a person, then you will see people. But if you know who you really are at the soul level, you will only see yourself in different forms, different disguises. So once again, the secret to immortality is knowing that you are not a person. If you're not a person, then what are you? then who are you? You are the infinite awareness in which the person is a process. That process begins with a fertilized ovum, fertilized egg, that then becomes a zygote, an embryo, a baby, a toddler, a child, a young adult, teenager, mature adult, old person, death. Fertilized ovum, death. In between, a process that we call a person. The body is not a noun, as I've said before, it's a verb, it's a process. And it's a process in awareness. In fact, if you look hard for something called a physical body, you won't be able to find it. Okay? If you look at your own body right now, feel it, touch it, smell it, taste it, make sounds with it, and go a little deeper, you will realize that there is no such thing as a physical body. Okay. The physical body is an intermittent, changing experience. Intermittent, changing experience. And the experience in its raw form is perception, perceptual activity, which is an activity in consciousness. And then the labeling of that, I am Deepak Chopra, this is my body at this moment. That's, of course, a human construct, is a result of thought. So thought interprets a changing activity, perceptual activity in consciousness, made of consciousness, known in consciousness, experienced in consciousness, disappearing in consciousness. That changing activity is my body, your body. There's no such thing. There's no such thing as a physical body. And furthermore, there's no such thing as a person. There is only the infinite consciousness modifying itself into that which we call a person, and all the experiences associated with the person that we call objects, worlds, other people, trees, rocks, stars. All of them are also a process in consciousness. All of them are also a process in consciousness. So, let's try and take an analogy. First, why don't you remember everything? If you were in the dynasty of the pharaohs, why don't you remember it? If you were the Queen of Sheba, or in her court, or you lived in the time of Muhammad, or Jesus, or Moses, why don't you remember it? Well, let me ask you a simple question. Do you remember what you were doing 3 weeks ago on Tuesday afternoon at 3:30 p.m.? My guess is that you don't. Okay, thank God. If you remembered every little... There are people who, by the way, remember every day of their lives. And they're tortured. They suffer a lot. So if you can't remember what happened 3 weeks ago, Tuesday, 3:30 p.m., unless you were getting married or something, which you will definitely remember. Anything that's emotional is remembered, good or bad. But by and large, we don't remember anything. And it's so good, because if you were born with all these memories, by golly, you would suffer a lot. In fact, that's what people do right now. They go to psychiatrists to get rid or understand or overshadow traumatic memories. But we all have good memories, we have bad memories. And in fact, there's no such thing as memory. all memory is imagination. You reconstitute an experience that you've had, or sometimes that you haven't had. You actually tap into collective consciousness and tap into the remnants or residues of experiences that consciousness has had, and then consciousness reconstructs those experiences now, and it reconstructs them through imagination. Okay, so all there is imagination. Time is in imagination. Now has no past and no future. Okay, the past is illusion at this moment. The future is illusion at this moment. And that's all there is. Now never ends. Okay? Now never ends. So memory is helpful, of course. Lord Shiva says, I use memories, but I don't allow memories to use me. It's good to use memories. That way I can find my way home. My physical home, or that which I call my physical home. Even that's a construct. The only home is the self. The only home is the self. So, memory can be a burden, but you can also use it. Okay? You can also use it for useful purposes. And that useful purpose is imagination. As I've said before, the worst use of imagination is anxiety, and the best use of imagination is creative evolution. That's it. Okay, so first question, why don't I remember? Because it's good. Information overload would kill my brain. I don't need information overload. If I need information, I can go Google it. Okay? So we don't need more information. You can selectively access any information these days by just Googling it. Okay, so that's why we don't remember our past, all of it. Okay. Now the second question is that when the person dies, what happens? When the person dies, what happens? Okay, I'm going to use an analogy right now. So I'm wearing a watch. This watch is a Fitbit, and by the way, I enjoy it very much because I monitor my sleep, my activity, my heart rate, and everything. So I enjoy this watch. But this watch is a device that is expressing itself through electricity. Just like right now you're watching me, electromagnetic waves are going through the atmosphere. They were already there, they're just being disturbed in a particular manner. And then you're seeing me on your screen. Why? Because you have a device that's also powered by electricity, and the electromagnetic impulses coming to you right now may be coming in various ways. So, they may be coming through bouncing off a satellite or through cable, wireless mostly these days. So your device where you're listening to me is powered by electricity. The device I'm using right now is powered by electricity. The lights in this room are powered by electricity. All the lights, bulbs in New York City and everywhere in the world are powered by electricity. But so are microwave ovens, so are the radios, so are television sets, so are certain kinds of watches, so are every single device that we're used to today. But they are all powered by the same electromagnetic field. They're all powered by the same electricity. So, if my watch says, I am immortal, then I will probably say, no, you're not. Anything that was produced will have an end. But the electricity that's powering this watch, you can't get rid of. Okay? So, the same thing. This body is powered by infinite consciousness, and we are that. And what we call the soul is a drop in the ocean of infinity. But the drop itself contains everything that's in the ocean. In the same way as Rumi, the great Sufi poet, said, you're not just a drop in the ocean, you're the mighty ocean in the drop. But with a unique signature. Let's call it soul signature. The soul signature is the infinite being with certain proclivities, tendencies. These tendencies are determined by what we call karma, memory, desire, which is all basically imagination. So this body is a changing device powered by infinite consciousness into varied experiences. The varied experiences include that which I call my body, you, the painting in the back, all my devices, all my relationships, all my situations, circumstances, and all the events in my life are a result of that infinite being that is powering this device, this instrument. But unlike my Fitbit or unlike my phone, this device is a changing process as well of that infinite consciousness. So all you have to do is shift your identity from the person to the awareness in which the person is a process, and you simply now know your own immortality. That's it. Imagine all these devices in the ecosystem of devices. All of them are actually, let's take electrical devices, all the devices in the ecosystem of devices. So let's say tonight, before I sleep, I shut off the lights in this room. Okay? When I shut off the lights in this room, there's no experience, visually speaking. The room disappears. Okay? Then I come in the morning and I switch on the lights again and the room is there. And actually it's the room I saw the night before I went to sleep. The light switch and light switches are turning off and on everywhere in our world. Bulbs, devices, iPhones, computers, music, movie, all switched on and then switched off and then switched on again. But the interesting thing about this device is you can switch it on and switch it off every day. You switch it off and you go into deep sleep. No experience. Dreams, subtle experiences, and then wake up, this experience. And this cycle repeats itself every day. Switch on, switch off. And then use the dial to see how hazy the picture is or how clear the picture is, and fine-tune the picture, which we do in waking state. In dream state, the picture is fuzzy. In deep sleep, all goes away. And you're back to source. Okay, this is a rehearsal for every lifetime, by the way. Cosmic consciousness, right now, is switching on all its light bulbs and switching them off all at the same time, and then fine-tuning them as well. okay, as the waking state. Now, we've discussed before how we can go beyond the waking state. Deborah says, but why? Well, Deborah, do you go to the movies? Why? Do you watch television? Why? Do you like the painting in the back or not like it? Why? Only you can say why. I don't know. I can only say that the infinite wants to express itself in infinite forms. That's all. And so don't confuse yourself with the switch or the instrument. Go back to the source which switches it on and switches it off. And then can also dim it and make it more vivid and fine-tune it so you see a clear image. That's all. Infinite consciousness wants to know itself in all and varied ways through sentient beings. Sentient beings means beings who have consciousness. Okay? And then every experience of that sentient being is in the ecosystem of the consciousness of that being with the unique soul signature. I hope this is clear. Okay, you're not the light bulb, you're not the device, you're not even the switch. You are the master controller of the switch. How do you do that? Through conscious choices, through metacognition. Metacognition, the ability to experience whatever is happening in the present moment without judgment, and the ability to witness your choices as you make them consciously. This is the window to immortality. This is what the Bhagavad Gita also says. Your true self is timeless, non-local, spaceless, dimensionless or infinite dimensions, zero and everything at the same time. And you are that. That's what Tattvamasi means. I am that, you are that, all this is that. That alone is. So I'll close today with a quote from the Bhagavad Gita from Lord Krishna. Your true self is not subject to birth and death. Water cannot wet it, wind cannot dry it, fire cannot burn it, and weapons cannot cleave it. It's ancient, it's unborn, and it is not subject to death. You are immortal. I hope that was clear. If not, we can explore it even more. Right now, everything that is in your ecosystem of experience is devices connecting with each other, like the internet. The internet is a good example. It's now becoming a global brain. It contains everything, divine, diabolical, sacred, profane. The human condition is on the internet. So you are a device interacting with other devices in the ecosystem of relationships and sentient beings who are having their own experiences and then actually cross-checking with each other and agreeing and disagreeing on experiences, and the evolution goes on. In what direction? Truth, goodness, beauty, harmony, love, compassion, joy, equanimity, unlimited creativity, unlimited imagination, everlasting evolution. Evolution is a never-ending horizon. Thank you, my friends, for joining me. I'm grateful that we have this opportunity. Ramanand Dixit says, great, clear. Sylvia Giza says, great. And David says, we are all avatars. Absolutely. We can only use infinite consciousness. We're doing it right now, says Ramanand Dixit. Patricia MacArthur agrees. Maria, thank you. David, thank you. Even though you don't fully get it, or you say someone else don't fully get it. Okay, sorry about that. Okay. Is love an imagination? No. Love is the only truth at the heart of creation. Unity consciousness.